Hi there, welcome to a new video where I will show you how to set up Kerberos. For those who don't know what Kerberos is, it is a network authentication protocol useful for central authentication. It secures the environment in such a way that users don't have to authenticate every time they are using a service. This kind of an architecture, we can call it as a single sign-on. What I meant to say is that suppose you want to use SSH service to access another virtual machine. In the current configuration, if we try to use SSH, what will happen is that it will going to ask you for password. But once we integrate SSH with Kerberos, what will happen is that you will be asked for authentication only once, but after that you won't be asked for authentication at all. It is kind of a passwordless SSH that will happen. Now, to use SSH with Kerberos, we have to make some configuration changes in SSH in order to use it, and that I will show you. So now, any further ado, let's start the process. On our last video, what we did is that we installed our cluster and we installed Ldap. So now on top of that, what we are going to do is we are going to install Kerberos. So first of all, let me set up the configurations. It is the same configuration which we had earlier, except you will see here is that KDC address, which is basically our master node. So, and one thing is that the password for KDC or the Kerberos would be admin. Let me paste it. Next, we are going to update. Next, what we are going to do is that we are going to install KRB5 KDC. Okay, this is for Kerberos for admin server and integration of Kerberos with Ldap. Okay, why I am doing that is that I am going to use Ldap as the database for Kerberos. Okay, you can have your own database, a separate database for Kerberos, but it is better to use Ldap. So these are the things I am going to do. So now for automation purpose, what you can do is that you can there will be a pop-up that will come, okay, which is going to ask you what will be your domain name. Okay, my domain name would be master default realm, that would be your cloud.com. okay, so that is what I am doing here. I am automatically putting the domain name for automation purpose. Okay, in that way you don't have to write it on your own. Let me do this way this time. I'll put it here. Next, what we are going to do is going to install all the things which I have just mentioned earlier. So now it is installing KRB5 KDC admin server plus Ldap, KRB5 Ldap. Let's wait for a while. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to install the libpam for KRB5, because now we are going to integrate our authentication with Kerberos. So for that to happen, we need the libpam module for KRB5. So this particular line is going to install that. Now if you see here, it is asking us to override the pamd configuration file. Why it is asking you? Because we earlier during the Ldap installation, we did change the authentication session as well as other pam configuration files based on Ldap. Now since KRB5 Ldap is being installed, it is asking us whether we should override those changes or not. Right now we are going to keep it no, but later on we will make our own changes there. Okay, now next is we are going to put some Ldap password and KDC password in some files. Make sure that you secure these files. These are some of the environment variables which I used in the later commands. So let me just reset again. Here realm is basically used for Kerberos. Okay. Now in order to use Kerberos database using Ldap, okay, you need to install the Kerberos schema in Ldap. So basically KRB5 KDC Ldap, this module which we installed earlier, provides that schema to us automatically. Now to install a schema, we need another package called schema to LDIF. So let us install that first. Okay, which is installed now. Next, what we are going to do, let us copy this file. Next, we need to first unzip it. So if I go to config directory, you will see there is kerberos.schema. Now kerberos.schema file contains all the schema which is needed to be installed, which is needed to be installed in Ldap. So this particular command is going to install that. So if you see, the new entry or the new schema has been installed here. Next, what we are going to do, next we are going to create KDC and KAdmin user. Okay, so let me copy it from here. So I am creating these users now in Ldap. So KDC service for KDC service when AM and ADM service, and in KRB5. Okay, so these are the three entries we have made. Now why we created these services? Because during when Kerberos is going to interact with Ldap, there are two services basically run in Kerberos. One is KDC service and one is KAdmin service. So each service need to be present, or each user corresponding to those service need to be present in Ldap server, and those users will then have some privileges to modify the Kerberos database which will be present in Ldap. So that is why we need these two users. So that is the reason why we created them. Next, what we are going to do is we will grant some privileges to these two services, to users, KDC user and KAdmin user. So this is what we are doing here. Let me copy it here from here. So this entire thing, what it will going to do, it is going to grant some privileges to these two Kerberos users which we just created. Okay, so yeah, it is done. Okay, the KDC address should be the fully qualified host name. Okay, so it should not be only master, it should be master.cloud.com. So if I ping host name, if I only put host name, then you can see that it is coming as master.cloud.com. So that is what we needed here. Next, what we are doing here is that we are creating the files, log files for Kerberos services. Now this is the configuration file for Kerberos, where we are mentioning the realm, the KDC address, which is our master, means where is the server located. Plus, if you see here it mentions where is the Kerberos database present. So here we have mentioned that it is present in the Ldap. So let me copy it from here. Next is the Kdc configuration file. So basically what this Kdc configuration file will contain, the main thing is the key tab files, okay, where the passwords for the services will be present. So here we mention that particular thing. Even here also we mention the same thing, service.keytab key file, which will going to contain the passwords. That is also done. The last thing would be, now this particular admin, basically what this kadm5.acl will contain is the user which is going to have all the privileges. So it is the admin user which will have all the privileges. That is what it is doing. Done. Now next what we are going, now we are going to create the DB in the Ldap. Okay, so this is the command for creating the database in Ldap. So now the database is created for cloud.com realm. Next our task would be to set the password for KDC and KAdmin user. So see, it did not ask me, prompt me, because I have already mentioned it here, the password. Same is for KAdmin user. Now next what I am doing here is that I am adding KRB admin user. If you see here, it is the root. So what I am trying to tell here is that root followed by admin would be my admin user. Currently my admin user is only admin, but now I'm going to add root/admin is the only administrator for Kerberos using this line. So see, now a principal called root/admin is created. I am going to make this particular user as the admin user now. The next set of configuration changes are to be made in the PAM configuration file to make sure that now we are going to use Kerberos for authentication rather than Ldap. Let me copy this. Now we need to restart the services. The services are started now. Next, what we are going to do, we are going to add these two principles. One is called host principle. Why we need these host principles are that if we are going to make some services to be used with Kerberos like SSH service, then there has to be a principal named host followed by the host name of the virtual machine to be present. Otherwise Kerberos will not work for SSH service. So that is why I am doing this. So I have created the host principle. So this is the installation of Kerberos master. Now that the Kerberos is installed and the login integration has been made with Kerberos, if I try to use su as magi and if I put the password, my authentication will fail. Why this is happening is that because the user is present in Ldap, but now the authentication is happening via Kerberos. So the same principle or the user must be present in Kerberos also. So what we are going to do is we are going to add that user. Let me exit first. Admin local, and I will add the principal magi. It's going to ask me for password. I am going to put the same password. So now the principal is created. Now if I quit from it, now if I use password, see, now I have logged in. Why this has happened? Because how this has happened is because that I have authenticated via Kerberos. If I put type k list, it will show me my tickets also. So this is how the authentication now happening via Kerberos. Same setup has to be done at the client end also. So let me first log into the client. Now we are going to install Kerberos client in the child nodes also. So now I have logged into the child node. Made myself root. So let's begin installation of Kerberos client. So now so in order to install Kerberos client, same configuration will be there. So again while installing krb5 user and lippam krb5, it will going to ask me the real name. So for automation purpose, what we can do, we can set this dbconf. Next, let's install the Kerberos client. Now this has installed the Kerberos client, but on top of that, if you want to use other services with Kerberos, then you need this module gsapi.mit. So we are going to install this one also. Next we are going to again save the password in the child nodes, paste them here. Let me again set the environment variables just to be double sure that I'm not missing any value. Otherwise if there is any error in the configuration, then it will not work. Next I'm configuring this changes. I'm making the changes in the PAM configuration file to use Kerberos for authentication. Now the same thing I'm doing here also. I'm creating the log files for Kerberos service and making configuration changes for Kerberos, so that it will know that it is supposed to use Ldap for its database. So I'm going to copy them all. Same host principles have to be created for child nodes also. Now here if I try host name, it is only giving me host name as node01. If I type hostname -f, still it is giving me node01. So let me set the host name first. It is only contain node01. Now if I type, okay, this hasn't changed yet. Host name ctl .cloud.com. Let me see now what the host name is. Okay, now the host name is correctly coming. Let's use this command then. Now the principles are also created for node01 cloud.com host. So this ends setting up of the Kerberos client. Next what we are going to do is we are going to Kerberize the SSH. So the configuration is not that complicated. We just make sure that the in the SSH config file, if there is use spam present, no, then you make it as yes, plus GSS API authentication should be yes, and GSS API cleanup credential should be yes. What basically this means that if I have logged out of a particular machine, then from there if there are any tickets present, then they also should be deleted. So that is what basically happening here. So what we have to do is to execute all these things both in the master as well as the child node. So let us first execute this at master first. I have made myself root first. I'll paste it this entire command. Done. Now to do same thing in node 01 also. It is asking if you see that, if you've seen that it has asked me for password. Okay, so keep that in mind. We have to make same changes in here also. So we have made Kerberos related changes in SSH service, both in client as well as master servers. So I will exit from the child node. Now what if I use again, if I try to use the same user smagi, and if I type klist, if you see there are no tokens present. Okay, tickets, if I say so. So what will first generate a ticket or authenticate myself first. Now if I type klist, so see I have a token now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this token to log into node 01. So if I type ssh node 01, see it did not ask me for any password, and I have logged into node 01 without me trying to authenticate again, just like a single sign-on works. So this is how I have Kerberized SSH service. So that is all from my end from this video today. In our future video, what I'm going to show you is to install uh, install Kubernetes and Docker. So till next time, bye bye.